Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I haven't done an updated foundation routine in a couple of months now. A couple of things have changed product wise, technique wise a little bit, but for the most part it kind of stayed the same. But I thought I should still get this video up for you guys so you guys can see what I do on my day-to-day basis foundation routine. For sometimes that I don't include the foundation routine in the videos, in my tutorials, this is like a separate one for you guys, only focusing on the foundation routine. So this is what my skin looks like. So if you guys want to see what products I use and what techniques I use to achieve this flawless look right here, then you know what to do and just keep on watching. Hi guys, and welcome back. So to start off, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to prime my face. And the primer that I've been using non-stop is the Too Faced Primed and Peachy Cooling Matte Skin Perfecting Primer. It looks like this. As you guys can tell, I'm literally almost out. And I like this because it honestly does live up to whatever it claims to claim. And that is because it is cooling. Once I put it on the skin, it feels really cooling. But not like a bad cooling where it's like cold or anything like that. But it does feel like refreshing, I should say. Matte pretty much says what it does. It does give me more of a matte finish when I apply my foundation. I was going to use a different foundation, but if I'm going to do like an updated updated foundation routine, I thought I'd use the products that I use non-stop all the time. So now that we're done with that, the next thing that I'm going to go in with is my foundation. So that one is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation in the shade Golden Beige. As you guys know, I use this one all the time, and this is the only foundation that I've been using. I did recently purchase the Frankie Rose foundation again because, as you guys know, I had reviewed that one a couple of months ago, almost a year ago, and I absolutely love that foundation. It was like my go-to foundation. I finished it really fast, but that shade that I got, which was Olive, it's not my shade now. I did try it on, and when I was done using like all my powders, all my creams and all that, it did not match my neck. It was my face was a little bit more like on the pinky side, which I have no idea how that happened. So I am gonna have to go back and exchange it to get a lighter shade. Hopefully they have a good lighter shade. So this is the one that I've been using. Honestly, I am obsessed with this foundation. It's drugstore, which is inexpensive. Does not give me flashback when I use it on photos. It is matte and it is full coverage. Again, you can build up the coverage, but this is how much I put on and I'm pretty much satisfied. So doing that and then taking my Morphe beauty sponge, and then I'm just going to start to pat that in. Honestly guys, this beauty blender is life-changing just for the fact that it has like two different sides, and then it has this as well. So I use one side to blend out my foundation, and then I use the pointier side to blend out my concealer, and then I use the other flat side to apply my powders when I'm baking underneath my eye or setting my under eye. Honestly, you guys need this, and it's only $7, I believe. So you guys can see how much that just blended out. You guys can see how much coverage it gave me. Again, you can go in with more coverage, but this is what works for me. So you guys can see. So this is the side without foundation. So you guys can see I still have a little bit of like redness, and then this is the side of that foundation, which it covered completely everything. And honestly guys, using this routine has been like life-changing, and I'm so happy that I kind of got into a routine that I can stick to and I'm not changing all the time. And then I'm just going to apply that to my nose. The only downside about this foundation is the smell. If you guys are really like picky about like your makeup products having a weird smell, I don't recommend it because it does smell like paint. Why? I have no idea, but that's just how it smells. So I do try to get as close as possible with my beauty blender to my eyebrows, but sometimes that doesn't happen. So then what I do at this point is I just take a brush. Okay, and so now that we have all that blended out, now moving on to concealer. I'm going to take my Bare Minerals Bare Skin Complete Coverage Serum Concealer. This is in the shade Light. I'm literally all out of this. I even had to take out like the little stopper thing to get more. But this concealer, compared to my Tarte Shape Tape, when I did use that one. I feel like you can't really compare anything to that concealer because that one was just amazing. But this one I love because you can apply not a lot of it, but you can apply a good amount without it feeling too cakey. Because I know that there are some concealers and even foundations that once you start to apply too much, it starts to get a little bit cakey. But this one you can apply it as much, and it still leaves my under eye really, really nice and bright. And it feels really, really creamy, and it's honestly really easy to blend out. So I'm only going to apply it to these areas. Again, like I said, I'm taking the tip of the Beauty Blender, and then I'm just going to start to blend that out. Now to set my whole entire face and set my under eye, I'm going to go in with this Perfect Setting Powder by Cover FX. It looks like this. As I did mention, I got this one because Jaclyn Hill said she really liked this one. So I picked this one up. Honestly, it's amazing. I did before use the Laura Mercier Air one, but honestly, I have not used that in such a long time, so I don't know how it would be on my skin now, because obviously when I did use it, it was like a couple of years ago, so I don't know if it would react the same to my skin. But I like this one because it is really finely milled, so it's not going to leave it too chunky underneath the eyes, and it kind of just, it looks like a translucent kind of color. It's in the shade Light, I believe, so it's a little bit lighter, I believe. But I feel like once you go in and you blend it out, it kind of just melts into your skin, and it makes it look like a second layer of skin. So then going in with the other side of the Beauty Blender, I just take that and I stamp that underneath my eyes, just like that. Same with the other side. And then I take that and I apply it to my nose. Just because I feel like my makeup kind of rubs off on my face the most. On my nose, I'm sorry. So then I'm going to take the rest. And then first what I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly just apply it just like that to my chin, mustache, and forehead. Okay. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to just tap it on my hand to tap off all that excess powder. And then I just start to blend that all in. And especially the eyes, I make sure I really, really blend that underneath my eyes just because I just love the effect that it gives. Whereas if I were to apply the setting powder underneath my eye and then wipe it off with the brush, I feel like it doesn't give me the same finish that it does when I blend in the powder with the Beauty Blender. It kind of just melts into my skin and it makes it look really, really airbrushed. And that's the one thing that I look for in my foundation routine. So once I have that all blended out, then I just start to set everything else. And again, the reason why I set my face with powder is because when I go in with my bronzer, it just gives it a nice smooth surface for the powder bronzer just to kind of slide on. Now for bronzer, I'm going to go with my Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. And I have been really into this middle shade right here. And I do mix it a little bit with this one right here. But before, I would use this brush, which is a more fluffier brush. So with this one, you're going to get like an overall kind of bronzer, a little bit more natural, not so much focus in certain areas. But I recently started using this brush right here, so you guys can see the difference. Is a big difference. This one obviously is more fluffier. The bristles are more looser and not so close together. Whereas this one, the brushes and the bristles are a little bit more dense and they're a little bit packed together. So this one is going to definitely give you like a kind of defined bronzer contour, and that's what I'm looking for. But not necessarily to give me like really, really sharp. But I just have been really, really loving this to apply my bronzer. So I'm going to take that middle shade. And then what I do is I kind of just stamp it on first. And then I just start to do circular motions. And even though it's a small brush, and normally small brushes are kind of like for tight areas, but since this is kind of like a big area of my face, I kind of just twirl the brush everywhere. Sorry, my camera is so stupid and it keeps stopping when it gets too hot or whatever the case may be, so it didn't record when I did the entire bronzer, but pretty much just how it looks. So what I did was I used that light metal shade first, and then I go in with that same brush and take a little bit of the dark color, and I kind of only focus it towards the kind of outer part of my face, and then I bring it in just to kind of give it more like dimension, and then the same with my forehead. Now moving on to highlight. So again, before I would go in with a small brush like this, so it would kind of really get into certain areas where I only wanted the highlight to be, which was kind of like in this area right here. But I was watching videos, and I feel like a lot of people go in with like more fluffier brushes for the highlight because it kind of blends it in more and it gives it more natural, whereas this one is going to like kind of put it exactly where you want it. So I feel like this is the one that I use now. So as you guys can see, there's a huge difference. This one is more fluffier and is a little bit pointed towards the end, which I love, and it does make a huge difference when I apply my highlight because it applies it more seamlessly and more natural, whereas this one, it was really like specific in the areas wherever I would apply it. So I'm gonna go in with my Dose of Colors Desi X Katy Highlight in Fuego. Honestly, this is not like it's an updated foundation routine. However, I just got this one, but highlight, honestly, to me, it doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with, like, the tip of the brush, tap it off, and then the side of the brush. And then what I'm going to do is I'm using a light hand first, and I'm just applying that to the highest point, and then I'm using the tip of it. I have it like this first, and then I go in like this. So I have it like this, and then I go in with the tip. And then I just slightly dust that onto the apples of my cheeks. And I feel like with a larger brush, it kind of just helps it blend into the bronzer as well a lot easier. Whereas if I were to use that skinny brush, it would it would be really defined, and you would be able to see where my highlight starts and where the contour kind of ends and starts as well. But whereas this one, it's a larger one, so it kind of just puts everything together. So we're pretty much done with the entire face. Now to end everything, I'm going to go in and I'm going to take my Morphe Continuous Setting Spray. Honestly, this is amazing. One, because I love the spray that it gives. Like, it's more like of an aerosol. It's not so much of like spritz. It's just honestly so amazing. So, and then I go in and I just set my face. So this was the finished updated foundation routine. As you guys can see, my skin just looks really, really airbrushed and like a second layer of skin. It doesn't look like I have much product on. Again, this setting powder really does help a lot, just for the fact that I feel like it has something to do with the way that it sprays out. It kind of just melts all the powders in together, and it melts everything in, and it pretty much makes it look like a second layer of skin. As you guys can see, my skin looks amazing. So that is pretty much all I have to say, and I will see you guys on the next one.